For the PPG IndyCar World Championship continues at the Milwaukee Mile in the Miller Genuine Draft 200. Round number 4 of the PPG IndyCar World Series for the IndyCars. Now, well, that bodes well for Rick. Has one car, that's Jeff Andretti's, the number 27 car. Jeff was about to make his first start in an IndyCar race and make it here at Milwaukee, but obviously that will not happen at the moment. As the team pushes that car behind the wall, certainly they're in hopes that they will get it going. They are ready for a green flag, and they are ready to start. So Mears brings the field off of the 4th turn. The crowd, well, they all come to their feet. And we are ready to go on the Milwaukee Mile as Nick Fernaro gives it the green flag. And they bunch up heading down to the 1st turn, with Sullivan moving to the outside and picking up the lead from his teammate Mears. And Mears seems to slow down just a bit as they come onto the backstretch. Andretti comes up, moves into 2nd place. That's Mario making a move now down for the inside.
Well, you can bet you Rick Mears didn't have his boost up just right, Paul, because he didn't take off with the rest of the cars at all. In fact, he went backward bad.
Boy, look at this as Mario Andretti comes around Danny Sullivan, picks up the lead. His son Michael moves into 3rd place, chasing Sullivan now. Good move for Mario on the start.
Now, Mario's got to really know his car's sticking good to take on the first lap and gain as much as he gained, going like he's already going.
So they have, as he threads his way around. Rahal running back out of the top 5, raises his hand to acknowledge sign from his pit crew. From time to time, though, you may see the drivers point to the sky. They are probably the best gauge of whether or not there's too much moisture to go racing. You can see a lot of moisture there on that onboard camera on Andretti.
And what they do is they come by the starter and they point their finger up. That's the signal they give to Nick Fernaro. Hey, it's raining up there. Pay attention to it.
They really have to race this race as if it was an 100-mile race, because that's the distance at which it becomes official. It's really a trophy dash, a real sprint.
The battle closes behind Sullivan now as Michael closes in, comes to the inside, takes a shot at Danny Sullivan. And Sullivan riding just ahead of this live onboard shot for Michael Andretti as they work their way to the main stretch.
You mentioned that this is Michael's 100th race. His first race in IndyCar competition was back in Las Vegas in 1983.
Boy, Michael brings it right down almost on top of the dirt. Danny Sullivan decides this kid wants it real bad. I think I'll just move over a little to the right. Now Rahal pokes his nose in as well.
Now that gives you an idea how wide this track is and how many different grooves. For a while there, Paul, they were 3 abreast and passing while they were doing it.
On board with Rahal, that's Michael just ahead of him. So these cars all running right together. There's Rahal lined up. Rick Mears to the inside of Rahal. Michael Andretti sweeps across the front. Again, he tries Sullivan as now they begin to encounter some traffic.
And keep in mind, Paul, everybody is like a trophy dash. They all knowing that they have to be in the front in case it rains, number 1, because if the race stops, they're going to want to start ahead of the other guy. So right now they're going like it was the last lap of the race.
A pass for the lead as look at Unser. He just came up on the home stretch right behind Mario and picked up the lead of the race. You indicated, Bobby, that he would try and do just that, and look at little Al. He's flying now.
And other than this morning, that's a brand new race car to him, like he's starting all over again. But they've been floundering, and now he's found what he needs for the ovals.
From 9th to 1st in just 6 laps.
And I think all of us kind of halfway expected Rick to just to dominate and maybe run away with this race. But obviously they've made some sort of mistake.
And there is Rick Mears as he works his way under his teammate Danny Sullivan and picks up the position.
Most likely what happened, the weather changes, the boost pressure changes, Paul. Most likely he just had to reset his boost control knob inside the car, and as you can see, he's gaining some of his speed back now.
Apparently, Bobby Rahal, he runs in 4th. They work their way past Tony Bettenhausen in the Amex car.
Now this morning, remember, Bobby Rahal was the fastest car on the track. Right now, he's trying to pass young Michael, but he's not the fastest car at the moment.
Jeff Andretti is finally underway, but he came out 12 laps behind the leader. Look at Rahal trying to thread alongside of Michael. He moves to both sides. Now he comes high into the corner.
Michael won back-to-back races here in 87 and 88. 86 and 87, and that's
like you say, but they're also, the tires are going to like it. The pavement is cold, or it's nice and cool, it's crisp, and it's clean.
A.J. Foyt and Danny Sullivan battle with one another for 7th place as Foyt comes down inside Danny. And Foyt's going to try him.
A.J. was 3rd fastest in the warm-up this morning, so he is a real threat. This is not a fluke. And yesterday, when A.J. was practicing in front of Mario, he got here.
And look at him go ahead. A.J. Foyt moves up.
Well, right in here yesterday, A.J. had a big slide, and he corrected. Here's a man 55 years old who had the reflexes to bring that slide back under control. Mario drove alongside him, gave him a big thumbs up, and they laughed about it afterwards.
Now, Sam, Foyt's another guy that totally changed his car from qualifying till now, and it's obviously working a whole lot better.
At Copenhagen. We're back at the Milwaukee Mile where we've just gone yellow. That's Randy Lewis sitting up there in the number 12 amp car. He was running alongside of Unser Jr., the leader of the race, when they both lost the back end. Both of them went into a quick spin, and the yellow has been brought out as a result of this. And the good news is that Little Al didn't touch anything and was able to keep going. You see the emergency crews rolling to the aid of Randy Lewis, who sits up against the wall, and here is the leader. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Paul, a quick survey by the Gallus crew shows that they flat spotted all 4 tires, so they will change tires and take on fuel. But other than that, it looks like a nominal stop for Unser Jr. He is off and away. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
And both Andretti's come in tandem. It's Mario behind Michael as far as pit position is concerned. Smoke left side of Mario. Everything looks good for Michael. Routine with a tire change. They do it under the luxury of the yellow, and Mario will beat his son out of the pits cleanly. Paul?
So under the yellow, all of the leaders making a stop. Little Al was in and out in 12 seconds. This comes at the 43rd mile, so Bobby Unser right now, it's a 3-stop race.
Yes, it is, Paul, but it couldn't come at a better time because everybody kind of agreed that if they went to 20 laps and it came yellow, they would all pit. Well, this came at 40-some-odd laps, 42 laps, so it's a perfect time to pit.
All right, let's go back and take a look at what happened. There was quite a pack running together there. There is Little Al threading to the outside of Randy Lewis, and they touched. But look at that. Look, as the other cars thread their way through, Little Al gets it back under control and is able to keep it rolling.
Well, what happened there is Little Al was passing on the outside, passing Randy on the outside. Randy, obviously, Lewis didn't see him, so he was squeezing Little Al into the wall. He could only go out so far, and then he had to stop. That's when they touched.
Randy Lewis has had problems with what is called understeer, or pushing off that turn, both days of practice, and it's very hard, even if he had seen Little Al there, for him to be able to tuck it in enough.
And Danny Sullivan had to climb all over the brakes to keep from going into those spinning cars. Unser Jr. now lined up behind the pace car. We have yet another angle of that accident, and we will take a very close look when we come back with more from Wisconsin State Fair Park in the Miller Genuine Draft 200. Under the green flag, but of course we've had our first yellow, and that was a double spin. Here is a view of that from Unser Jr.'s point of view. That's Randy Lewis to the inside. They tap. You can hear it. Whoa, look at how close Sullivan and everybody else was as they came through.
Boy, it's just a short of a miracle that there wasn't just a numerous car wreck right there, Paul. I've never seen one. Such a good possibility.
An even greater miracle is that he was able to get it under control, stay in the lead, make his pit stop, and come back out in the lead. Let's take a look. Rick Mears closes down on Rahal as Rahal moves up into the 3rd position. That was Mario that they went around just a second ago.
You might ask.
And there is Mario pulling into the pits.
Unscheduled stop.
Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Paul, the problem is they think they're losing water. It may be a hole in the radiator. They were hoping it was an overflow problem, but clearly there's an overheating problem. Mario reported that water temperature was rising. They're afraid they're losing the engine. He's in. The engine shut off. The crew's working under the bodywork on the left side pod right now. But it looks like the misfortune that plagued Andretti a week ago at Indianapolis may have bitten him here at Milwaukee. Paul?
Terrible disappointment. 2 races in a row now, separated by a mere week.
Mario engine joined a different team, Team Shearson, and of course has won the Indy 500. Brayton is another one of these very talented men who has never really had the equipment underneath him and just needs that chance to show his stuff.
Scott Brayton now ducks into the pits. And the question is this on the timeline for them? Did they come in under the yellow, or is this really their first stop?
That's got to be a non-scheduled pit stop. It doesn't come in good time for them, Paul.
Well, they're at lap number 70. The leader, Unser Jr., kicks it off. And they're working routinely. So Scott Brayton gets some service from Dick Simon's crew. As a precaution, they spray some water on the fuel valve. All the teams do that just to make sure everything's okay. And in 19.9 seconds with a stalled engine now. Still chugs his way around with a faulty clutch.
These engines are turning 12,000 plus RPM. When you lose the water the way Mario did, it probably did damage to the engine.
Here comes Michael. He's going to try and turn one again, but no, there comes Little Al as they work down inside of the McKenzie car, Scott Goodyear. That, by the way, that team is operated by Doug Shearson's daughter, Molly. So the Shearson family involved not only with the Indy winner, but with Scott Goodyear's car as well. The young Canadian, very impressive here, but most impressive is this fight for the lead as Michael is there just trying to worry Little Al to death.
Remember, Michael with 2 victories on this track. Unser Jr. with no victories on this track.
The last time that a Lola won on this circuit was with Mario Andretti at the wheel in 1985. 78 miles are complete. Unser Jr. continues his lead, but right there is Michael Andretti. These two youngsters who grew up together at racetracks, battling with one another. They love this.
Mario, of course, out of the race now, told me recently he's gotten used to going home in the Andretti family plane with Michael's trophy strapped in along next to him.
You can just watch how hard Michael is trying to crowd Little Al into trying a wrong side pass on anybody. Because that's all he needs to get by Little Al right now.
We're back at the Milwaukee Mile under yellow. Arie Luyendyk, the cause for the yellow. The safety crew just got him started. They gave him a push, and he's now under power. He'll head into the pits, but the yellow flag flies for this spin by Arie Luyendyk, and he's got some damage to that car. Here is the situation. Just a fast spin up, brushed the wall, came to a stop in the middle of the track. Everybody that was running with Arie back about 12th place was able to get past. Now, when the yellow came out, everybody dived into the pits. This was just before the yellow, and that is Eddie Cheever in the target car, number 15 to the outside, as he chops Michael off going into the corner. As they come off of the corner, Michael Andretti speaks to Cheever. Well, Cheever lives in Rome for a long time, and Michael's Italian. I'm sure they understood. Luyendyk is into the pits, and they work on the left front wing, which is what brushed the wall. Off, and we're racing with Little Al pulling up to challenge Michael Andretti, the leader of the race. Al moves to the high groove. Little Al works down, touches the inside between 1 and 2. On board now with Unser Jr.
Now remember, they'll both have new tires on, and probably any adjustment they wanted, which would have been wing adjustment, they would have made. Now we'll see how they came out on their speed.
Whether you need every inch of those wings to keep downforce on the car. Nothing changes on the course. Mears tries to hold off Rahal and Fittipaldi in a fight for 3rd place. The leader is still Michael Andretti. Unser Jr. still runs in 2nd.
Looks like a bunch of vultures trying to come down on something there, because Rick is struggling to stay ahead, but Rahal has really been working on him hard. But in the meantime, look who's behind Rahal there.
What an ironic twist, Bobby, because it's really Rick Mears who typically is the hunter ordinarily. He might be shooting the vultures. There goes Bobby Rahal on the outside of him. It's a pass.
He sits there lap after lap after lap and finally gets past. So Bobby Rahal moves up and takes 3rd place away from Rick Mears. Michael Andretti still leads it. Unser Jr. runs in 2nd. We'll be back with more coverage of the Milwaukee 200 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Onto the home stretch again. Many of the crews are already taking a look at a pit stop. Here's Little Al's pit. As you can see, they are perched on the wall, ready to clamber over it as Unser Jr. heads down into the pit area, begins to bring the car to a stop. The Gallus team waits for him. On the course, while this is happening, Michael Andretti is able to put some distance. The Gallus team very carefully working with that car.
Now remember, Paul, during the green flag, he's probably going to lose a lap, but he'll get that right back. That was a very good pit stop, 13 seconds. Now, the guy that makes the fast pit stop now is going to have the edge towards our finish here.
So Unser Jr. completes his last stop of this race, if all goes according to plan, and moves back up to speed. We keep our eyes on Michael Andretti now as he rolls down on the pit road. This is the leader of the race making their stop. He threads his way in behind Pancho Carter, who heads out and rolls in for a stop.
And also keep in mind, this is the last pit stop of the race too, Paul.
Take a look at the outfits of his crewmen. Michael Andretti's crewman, designed by designer Alexander Julian. Very curious mixture of colors there. Exciting. So much wheel spin, Paul.
Michael Andretti rolls out. Al Unser Jr. went past on the main stretch as he did it. But remember, little Al fell well behind when he made his stop as well. So Michael drops the clutch just as hard as he can and hammers the throttle and moves back into the fight. Bobby Rahal stops. Here's Jackaroo.
And Paul, it's been a series of miscues. First, the car fell down on the jack while the rear tires were off. Then he couldn't get the clutch back in gear, and he had a very, very long stop. And on top of that, they only had 25 gallons of fuel to go in, and they didn't get it all in. Meanwhile, his teammate, Al Unser Jr., all 25 remaining gallons in the tank are now on board the Valvoline Lola.
A fairly substantial lead over the second place car of Al Unser Jr. In third is Rick Mears. Fourth is Emerson Fittipaldi. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, now's when you hope that your fuel calculations are right on target, because all Michael Andretti has left is what you see, the line right behind the pit man's foot down here to the nozzle. There's barely a trickle of fuel left. Nothing to do him any good. That's the situation for Andretti as his crew now tries to determine, will it be enough to get him to the checkered flag. Let's go to Jackaroo.
The battle is at the front of the field. Michael Andretti, Al Unser Jr., Rick Mears, and Emerson Fittipaldi, all on the leader lap, all within a mile of one another. Fuel is becoming a factor in this race, as everyone's wondering, can they make it to the 200th lap, the 200 mile, and the checkered flag?
Well, they're slowing down, Paul, but remember, again, they're doing it via their gear ratios and maybe cutting back the boost just a little bit. But they can't cut them back very far like on the boost, because then they just don't have any horsepower at all. Not competitive.
In the Newman Haas pits, the crew now can only watch and wait. The cars are fueled. They have to go the remaining 16 miles.
Back off when he knows that little Al is gaining on him just because Michael's trying to save fuel.
Al Unser Jr. has to handle some traffic to catch Michael.
Michael now trying to drive defensively, save fuel. Al, re-energized by the fact he knows he's probably okay on his fuel. Coming on, the two great champions, just a few laps left to go, less than 6 laps to go now. A classic race.
Boy, I love IndyCar racing on the flat miles. Milwaukee and Phoenix, Nazareth, they produce some terrific races. 4.5 seconds separates first and second.
Both of them running qualifying speeds, and Paul in Milwaukee, you don't see better racing than you do at Milwaukee.
Just a little under 5 miles to go now. Al Unser Jr. continues to pursue his childhood pal and chum. They've raced together for literally thousands of miles. They're doing it again. Fittipaldi closes down on Rick Mears. This is a fight for third place, and it is within the Penske team.
You can see Rick as he come out of that fourth corner there that maybe he was just a little bit loose. Remember, their tires are pretty far down. They're really light on fuel. They can't have much left, so the car's going to skip around a lot. Emma's really going for it.
Back on board with Michael Andretti, still out in front by a tick over 4 seconds. Al Unser Jr. still chasing. In Michael's pit, they continue to watch and time. There is the Gallus pit, keeping track of Al Unser Jr. Little Al trying to close down, get around Boisel so that he can chase Michael Andretti. He's closed up just a little bit more, about another half second.
They're flat out. Little Al can't run any harder. Fuel has nothing to do with it. If it quits, it's just going to quit on him.
With 3 miles to go now, Fittipaldi also closes on Mears in that fight for third place. They're racing all around this circuit. The leader now look back for little Al as he continues to work his way through this field. He's dropped back a bit now, just over 5 seconds. Watching now from the Gallus pit.
You watch as you see little Shelley, Al's wife, and Tina Gallus. You can tell whether he's making mileage just by what they look like.
Michael Andretti works his way down on the inside. He was expecting to see the white flag coming off of this lap. But Michael Andretti rolls into the pits. We suspected there would be a problem with fuel. There definitely is. Michael Andretti slowly now through the pits. As Al Unser Jr. moves to the lead of the race, Michael Andretti rolls into the Newman Haas pits. There's Al Unser Jr. out in front, on board with Michael Andretti, on board now with Al Unser Jr. They try to refuel the car. They get it refueled. He rolls back out. But here comes Al Unser Jr. to win the race on the very last lap.
Well, Paul, that was a race of all times. Michael ran out just about like we figured could happen to one of them. We just didn't know which one.
And for Al Unser Jr., his first victory on an oval.
A historic moment, something he has been waiting for for more than 20 years. His first win on an oval.